Hello, welcome. I'm Charles Aite. This afternoon, former Finance Minister Seth Terkper is indicating that Ghana's economy may collapse if government does not consider prudent measures to salvage the situation. According to him, based on the assessment of Bloomberg and Fitch, there is sufficient evidence to suggest that Ghana's economy is not in a fine shape. He says numerous tax charged on Ghanaians to rake in revenue is repressive. He believes Ghana should focus on its expenditure to sustain the revenue.
Number one, pull all the suggestions, including the debate in Parliament itself, because they often also consult and other things, and then stagger them. Some measures can be taken immediately. I don't know what compromise can be with the e-levy and the other. Remember, the benchmark is also hanging. The benchmark could have a bigger impact also. A decision on the benchmark, which is also may have been factored in the budget already. So then take the immediate ones, and then those which can be, deferred, slightly into mid-year, and then. But as the professors indicated, and as we believe, and as our experience shows, we're in a situation where it will take more than one financial year or one budget year to resolve. So we need to start thinking also. And it's when you have gotten the essence of getting the short term under control is to convince the markets that you have a plan. Because remember, when you go to the markets, you're going for 10 years. So they're not looking at how you are managing today, but they are looking at what measures you are proposing, going forward before they commit their money to you. And some have committed money already, and which they are disposing of, which is why our yields or interest rates are going up. Whether a household, a business, or a country gets to the breaking point depends on taking measures to stem it. But the situation is difficult as it is now. I think it's quite clear, and I'm not the first or the last person to be saying it, particularly with respect to compensation and interest. And as we speak, there are strikes, ongoing strikes. There's demand for more higher, and we need to refinance, as the professor said, in order that we'll get some breathing space. So yes, it's a critical, situation.
So we're looking at a looming debt crisis, as the first speaker spoke about. It's as if nothing changes. We're looking at the worst case scenario, which is 95% debt to GDP ratio.
Yeah, that is. Remember, he said into 2025, but he said for this year about 80. Some have said 85, between 85, 88, and then if you don't take any measures, it means you are just carrying on. So yes, that's a trajectory.
Dr. Patrick Owusu, Senior Lecturer at the Finance Department of the University of Ghana Business School, joins us via Zoom. We're grateful, Doctor, you could join us. The Finance Minister, former Finance Minister Seth Terkper, is making this proposal. Shift your attention from revenue mobilization to expenditure. How do we balance this argument?
I think it has to be a combination of both. I'm not sure that we can simply say we are going to shift the attention to just expenditure. Because, as Theo was pointing out, if you look at our major expenditure items, we have compensation. I'm not sure what the government can do about that, because it's obliged to pay workers. And then we have interest payment. Our interest commitment, I'm not sure that we can do much to say we are not going to service our debt. So if he says that there's going to be an expenditure cut, most likely it's going to fall on capital expenditures, and that is going to impact the ability to grow the economy over the medium to long term. So I think it has to be a combination of both. And we have to pay a lot more attention to the revenue side.
All right.
And try to broaden the tax net as much as we can, just as we've spoken about several times.
Let's end with this, whole argument about fiscal responsibility. We've had this current administration commit so much to fiscal responsibility through the, promulgation of a specific act, with a 5% benchmark. Now we're having situations of a downturn. They've had to revise this particular cap. Where do we stand as a country when it comes to fiscal responsibility, and how best can we deal with the matter amidst ballooning debt crisis?
So we have to look at the Fiscal Responsibility Act as something that will generally work when we are in normal times, when we are not facing extraordinary situations. In the current circumstances that we find ourselves, so part of that due to COVID, but part of that also because we haven't taken some of the hard decisions we should have taken in the past. So you have to say, well, the government is right in saying that in the circumstances, the government probably needs to boost its expenditure, and therefore maybe we might have to put the cap, the 5% cap from the Fiscal Responsibility Act aside for now. What we have to question is whether whatever we've committed our expenditures to, that is going to bring us the long-term benefits that will ultimately ensure that in the medium term, when we are out of the COVID situation, our public finances, as well as the broader economy, is doing as well as it can. Ultimately, I think growing the economy and making sure that the economy is robust and resilient, I think that's what the most important thing is. So I think for now, maybe we shouldn't be putting too much premium on the fact that we are exceeding what is in the Fiscal Responsibility Act, but ensuring that whatever expenditures government has committed, they are being used as efficiently as possible, and they are also being committed in areas that we know that in the medium to long term, it will inure to the benefit of the economy. That means we're going to have a more stable growth and also have a sustained period of job creation. At the moment, I think we are not too sure whether all the amount we spent during the COVID, whether it has really generated these medium-term benefits for the economy.
Sure. Dr. Patrick Owusu, we're grateful that you could join us with the analysis, senior lecturer at the Finance Department of the University of Ghana Business School there. Well, we now turn our attention to the controversial 1.75% electronic levy. We know that government is pushing hard to get it passed in Parliament, but Ghana's umbrella business community, the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, is sending worrying signals over the 1.75% e-levy, calling for an immediate downward review between 0.5% and 1%. Well, we have excerpts of the press statements that we could pull up for you. It says in part that the Chamber calls on governments to hasten slowly with implementation. It is instructive to support businesses to grow and thrive, and then to burden them with increasing costs of doing business that will stifle output, employment, and tax revenue. According to the Chamber, it therefore proposes a bound of 0.5% to 1% as cost share applicable for registered tax-paying businesses in the country to ensure fairness and equity. It goes on to say that subsequent engagement with government, telecom operators and end users are required to reach a thoughtful compromise on this. Well, we have the president of the Chamber join us shortly for a discussion via phone. We're grateful, Mr. Clement Osewako, that you could join us. First of all, you have painted a very dark picture for us should the e-levy pass in Parliament. What is really premising your argument?
Thank you so much, and to your listeners. We are much aware that the COVID has brought a lot of predicaments to our country and the rest of the world. And so over the years, we have not had such an unprecedented case like the way we had the impact of the COVID on businesses. And we are much aware that in the entire world, the prices of goods and services are high rocketing. They are very high. And so we are also aware that the government will need to meet the gap between its expenditure and its revenue. And as it is now, it needs to look for money to be able to spend. And then apart from that, then it came with a e-levy of the 1.75%. What the Chamber is saying is that we are just leveling our injury after the COVID effect. And a lot of businesses are still crawling. And we are much aware that it's the private sector that creates jobs. We also pay profit tax and some services tax to the government. Now, we are looking at the hen that lays the egg. That if we are not able to treat the hen very well, we might not even get the egg. The government is imposing 1.75 levy, and we know the statistics that we have Even other countries have not benefited from that, and most of them were even below 1%. Now, how do we support it? What we are saying is that as a nation, we must pay tax to support the government. But we were saying that the 1.7 was very high.
All right.
Because when you look at the SMEs, they form a lot of the chunk in this, what we call the Momo transaction. And even those within the banks, that where you have some big businesses who have gone for loans and they are paying their money, doing some transfers, etc.
Sure.
I believe that tax is applied on production. That you produce goods and services, you pay. Now, I expected that even the telecommunication industry and those that are involved doing the transactions must rather be taxed. But it's not the person who has gotten his money in his pocket and wants to transfer money to the wife or send money to the family would have to suffer twice when he has already paid the tax.
Indeed.
And so if you are thinking of widening the tax bracket, we should not let the few people who are paying to be paying more at the same time.
Sure.
What the government should have sought to do is involve the private sector, the telecommunication industry, and the government itself, and some few other people to come in and meet and have some discussions. Because we believe that if they are even taking between 5.7, then there should be a cost sharing in this perspective, that the tax burden is not passed onto the consumer or
especially
the business sector alone.
We currently have had Parliament resume sitting. We are, picking that, the e-levy was not part of the order of the day, but we're still keeping an eye on this matter. President of the Chamber, Mr. Clement Osemwako, we're grateful that you could help us with your input from the Chamber's perspective on the controversial e-levy. Well, but how instrumental can leadership and consensus building be in gridlocked policies as the controversial electronic levy? Professor Goski Alabi is a Ghanaian academic, author, and entrepreneur, as well as the founding dean of the School of Graduate Studies, UPSA. She joins us in studio with her thoughts on the matter and leadership. Also joining us is the Group Chief Executive of the Business Executive Limited, Baroness Paulette Borum, to discuss She Achiever, an event which seeks to focus on award-winning women in business and the corporate world. Do stay with us for more after this break. You're welcome back to the program. Well, we have in studio Professor Goski Alabi together with Baroness Paulette Borum. They're here to discuss with us matters regarding women in business. But I want to take your thoughts first from you, Professor Goski. We're seeing what's unfolding in Parliament regarding the controversial electronic levy. It begs the question, how can leadership really dovetail situations as a gridlock policy as the e-levy?
Thank you very much. It's always a joy to be back in your studios. I think leadership is all about consensus building and understanding.
Sure.
Because in leadership, you do not have absolute power. There is no absolute power in leadership, because leadership is an interaction which involves the negotiation of power.
Indeed.
Between the members involved and the leader. And so it's always important to realize that you need to engage, you need to consult, you need to involve. And so I believe that we wouldn't have been where we are at the moment with the e-levy if adequate consultations had been done in the past.
Great.
And so, rightly so, if we are hearing that consultations are now going on, I believe that we're going to make a headway.
Sure.
And the will of the people would prevail in the end.
Indeed. But let's set that one aside as we keep an eye on that. Let's talk about the She Achiever. Help us understand this initiative proper. I see that there's a book to this.
Oh, the book is not on that today, but the books regarding the She Achiever activities would come. So the She Achievers is a network of women who have excelled in their various fields of endeavors. And these are women who have been recognized and awarded by the Business Executive magazine over the years. Now, we believe that beyond the awards, we should be able to bring the women together under a network or an umbrella to share experiences, to engage, and also to discuss opportunities that would help us to improve and grow within our chosen fields of endeavors.
Right. Impressive. Let me bring in Baroness here, because I'm quite curious to understand the state of women in business in Ghana today, and if you could also dovetail that one into what we should be expecting from the event proper.
Basically, the event is for the award winners who has excel in their various, sector.
Great.
And the award name is the Feminine Ghana Achievement Award.
Nice.
And there are a lot of criteria for that. Women who has contributed to the growth of the economy as well. Like Prof said, we felt we shouldn't just give the award and we let them just to go like that, because they have a lot that they need to bring out as well. They are busy. How could we bring these busy women together to achieve a common goal?
So where is it happening at, the location?
At East Legon.
East Legon. Yeah. Okay, that's going to be great. So I just want us to wrap off with you. Okay, just continue.
We have, in She Achiever, we have various sectors of women, but the CEOs, the entrepreneurs, and country ambassadors as part of our members as well. We are expecting the Colombia ambassador for tomorrow. We are expecting the South African ambassador for tomorrow. The others, there's about 6 feminine ambassadors which are part of us as well. We also have some title ambassadors as well, like Ambassador Nancy as well. She's going to be there. We have a lot of things tomorrow, apart from the networking,
And we can't wait. I can see it's an all-women affair. Am I invited?
Yes, of course. We have a room for he, for she.
All right, but Professor, Alabi, help us. I want you to send a message out there to women entrepreneurs, young female entrepreneurs, as we wrap up in just 30 seconds, how they should situate themselves and why they should be a part of this project.
Well, I believe that this project is an opportunity that helps to empower and provide some confidence in what they are doing, because when we see the examples of other people, it inspires us to do more. But we find this engagement very important because COVID has had some degree of impact. And we believe that we need to share experiences so that we can stay afloat as far as the impact of COVID is
what?
concerned.
I think we need to have a more, expanded discussion on women in business and entrepreneurship where we could have both of you online. But we're so grateful, Baroness, we feel grateful, Professor, that you can make time with us on the marketplace today. The She initiative, please make a date for that tomorrow.
And please don't forget, for those who are not part of She Achiever, remember, Feminine Ghana Achievement Award. Indeed. Nominate yourself. Thank you.
That's great. That's it for the marketplace. Many thanks, ladies. Many thanks for watching.
Pleasure.
Thank you.